Have you noticed that your circle is getting smaller? Not by accident, but by design? If you feel a strange isolation right now, do not panic. The ancient protocol of Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20 just activated. Right now, across the world, something highly unusual is happening to the chosen ones. You might be feeling it at this exact moment. A sudden, unexplained distance from family members and friends you have known for years. A quietness on your phone that used to ring constantly. A strange, heavy feeling of being completely disconnected from the noise, the gatherings, and the frantic pace of the world in this year, 2026. Maybe you have been sitting alone in your room, staring out the window, wondering what is wrong with you. You ask yourself if you have done something to push people away. You wonder if this heavy silence is a sign of personal failure, if it is just the reality of getting older, or if you have somehow ruined your relationships. The enemy desperately wants you to believe that you are being rejected, abandoned, and left behind by society. He wants you to feel like a lonely outcast, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But I am here to tell you a profound spiritual truth today. You are not depressed, you are not rejected, and you certainly have not been forgotten by your Creator. What you are experiencing right now is not a punishment. It is a divine quarantine. God is actively, intentionally, and lovingly separating you from the crowd. He is hiding you. Welcome to Hidden God Stories. We are a sanctuary for the weary spirit, uncovering the deep prophetic mysteries of the Bible that are unfolding right before our eyes. If you have been feeling tired, misunderstood, or heavily burdened by the spiritual shifts happening around us, you have found your home. Please subscribe to our channel right now so we can continue to walk this prophetic journey together, finding true peace in the shadow of the Almighty. Take a deep breath, settle your heart, and let us look closely at what the ancient text is trying to reveal to you today.
Hidden God Stories, where God's mysteries are revealed.
Let us talk about the reality of what you are living through right now in 2026. There is a deep, profound heaviness in the atmosphere. You might be waking up after a full night of sleep, yet feeling completely exhausted. There is a mental fog, a strange weariness in your bones, and a quiet anxiety that seems to hover just beneath the surface. And amidst this physical and spiritual fatigue, the most painful part is often the relational separation. You watch as people who used to understand you suddenly speak a different language. Conversations feel forced, phone calls go unanswered, invitations stop coming. You might even feel a sting of rejection from your own family, a growing chasm that no amount of effort can bridge. And this is exactly where the enemy sets his trap. The adversary, the father of lies, wants to isolate you in the dark. He wants you to look at your shrinking social circle and believe that you are defective. He whispers in your ear that you are too difficult to love, that your faith is driving people away, or worse, that God has removed His favor from your life. The enemy thrives on your desperation. He watches you exhaust your precious energy trying to fix relationships that the Holy Spirit is actively trying to sever. Think about the tears you have cried over people who simply walked away. Think about the texts you have drafted and deleted, trying to find the perfect words to make someone stay, to make someone understand your heart. It is agonizing to hold onto a rope that God is telling you to let go of. The friction of holding on is what is burning your hands. It is what is draining your spirit. But hear this truth today. You must stop apologizing for your need to pull back. You must stop feeling guilty for wanting to stay home, for wanting to close your door and sit in the quiet. The world will call you antisocial. They will say you are losing your touch, that you are isolating yourself in an unhealthy way. But your spiritual intuition is not broken. It is functioning perfectly. Your spirit is picking up on a frequency that the world cannot hear. You are sensing a shift in the wind, a change in the spiritual climate. And your soul is responding exactly as it was designed to respond when a storm is approaching on the horizon. It is seeking shelter. What feels like a painful rejection from the world is actually a divine redirection. The people leaving your life right now are not meant to survive the next chapter of your calling. Their departure is not a tragedy. It is a necessary clearing of the atmosphere. God is emptying the room so that you can finally hear His voice without the constant static of human opinion. Let us open the ancient scrolls and look at a specific blueprint given to us thousands of years ago. It is a mystery hidden in plain sight, waiting for the exact appointed time to be revealed. And that time is right now. In the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 20, we find a profound command. The prophet writes, "Come, my people, enter your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while until the fury has passed by." Listen to the rhythm of those ancient words. They were not just written for the children of Israel facing the Babylonian Empire. They were written prophetically for you, sitting in your room today, wondering why your life has suddenly become so small and so quiet. God is speaking directly to your current situation. He is saying, "Come." He is not pushing you away. He is drawing you in. To truly understand the depth of this mystery, we have to look at the original Hebrew text. The word translated as chambers is the Hebrew word cheder. A cheder is not a prison cell. It is not a place of solitary confinement meant for punishment. In ancient Israel, the cheder was the innermost room of a house. It was the most private, secure, and sacred space. It was the place where treasures were hidden. It was the bridal chamber, the place of ultimate intimacy and covenant. When God tells you to enter your chambers, He is not casting you out into the dark to be alone. He is inviting you into the deepest level of intimacy with Him. He is saying that He wants you to step away from the noise of the courtyard and come into the inner sanctuary, where it is just you and Him. Then comes the next part of the divine protocol. Shut your doors behind you. Why must the door be shut? Because an open door allows the atmosphere of the world to bleed into the sanctuary. If you leave the door open, the panic of the world, the opinions of your former friends, and the toxic anxiety of the news cycle will fill your room. The shutting of the door is an act of spiritual warfare. It is you establishing a boundary. It is you agreeing with God that you will no longer allow the chaos of the outside world to dictate the peace of your inner spirit. We have seen this exact pattern before in biblical history. Think back to the darkest night in ancient Egypt, the night of the original Passover. The destroyer was about to sweep across the land. It was a time of unprecedented judgment and fury. And what was the instruction given to the chosen people? The Lord did not tell them to gather in the streets. He did not tell them to form an army and fight the darkness. He told them to go inside their homes, apply the blood of the lamb to their doorposts, and shut the door. They were commanded to stay inside, isolated from their Egyptian neighbors, completely cut off from the rest of the world. They had to sit in the quiet of their homes, listening to the cries of the world outside, knowing that the only thing separating them from destruction was the blood on the door and their obedience to stay hidden. Their isolation was their salvation. If an Israelite had refused the isolation, if they had walked out the door to see what was happening or to join the crowd, they would have stepped out from under the covering of the Almighty. Right now, in the spiritual realm, a storm of deception and shifting powers is sweeping across the earth. The systems of the world are shaking, and God, in His infinite mercy, is applying the Passover protocol to your life. He is closing doors that you desperately tried to keep open. He is silencing voices that were distracting you. He is hiding you for a little while until the fury passes by. You must understand the critical difference between demonic isolation and divine quarantine. The adversary operates in the shadows. When the enemy isolates you, his goal is total destruction. He surrounds you with an echo chamber of your own anxieties, whispering that you are forsaken and unlovable. He wants you starving in the dark, completely cut off from love and truth. But when the Almighty separates you, it is an entirely different spiritual operation. God does not isolate you to starve you. He quarantines you to feed you. He pulls you away from the contaminated waters of the world so He can offer you living water. Demonic isolation breeds panic, desperation, and self-hatred. Divine quarantine, on the other hand, breeds profound peace, deep rest, and spiritual clarity. If you are sitting in your room today and you feel a quiet, steady peace underneath the sorrow of losing friends, you are not being attacked. You are being protected. Look at the ancient blueprint of Noah. For decades, Noah warned his generation of the coming flood. He was mocked, ridiculed, and eventually alienated from the society around him. But when the appointed time finally arrived, a specific detail was recorded in the book of Genesis that changes everything we know about rejection. Noah built the ark, but Noah did not close the door. The ancient text specifically tells us that the Lord shut him in. Let those words sink deep into your weary spirit today. The Lord shut him in. Sometimes the relationships that are abruptly ending in your life right now, the doors that are slamming shut in your face, the rejections that hurt your heart so deeply are not the work of your enemies. They are the protective, sovereign hand of the Creator shutting you in before the floodwaters rise. You are trying your hardest to pry open a door that God Himself has permanently sealed for your own survival. You have to stop fighting the closed door. The seal of God is keeping you safe from a storm that your physical eyes cannot yet see. Throughout the entire biblical record, total separation from the crowd has always been the ultimate hallmark of the chosen ones. Moses had to be separated from the noise and luxury of Egypt, sent to the quiet backside of the desert for 40 years, before he could clearly hear the voice of the great I Am speaking from the burning bush. Elijah had to be cut off from society and hidden by the lonely brook Cherith, where he was supernaturally fed by ravens, while the rest of the nation faced a severe and devastating drought. And think of the Apostle John. He was exiled, banished to the lonely, rocky island of Patmos. He was completely stripped of his community, his friends, and his ministry. The empire thought they were punishing him with ultimate, crushing isolation. But it was in that exact state of total earthly separation that the heavens were opened to him, and he received the most profound prophetic revelation in human history. If God is pulling you into the wilderness in 2026, if He is stripping away your normal support systems and placing you on your own island of Patmos, get your spirit ready. You are about to receive a revelation that could never be heard in the distracting noise of the city. Look out your window today. The world outside of your quiet room is shaking violently. We are witnessing the unfolding of prophetic events at a speed never before seen in human history. In this year of 2026, there are strange sounds emerging from the earth, rivers drying up to reveal ancient mysteries, and new financial systems quietly slipping into place that seek to control and monitor every aspect of human life. The atmosphere itself feels thick with anxiety, confusion, and a frantic desperation. Men and women are running to and fro, trying to find stability in a world that has lost its anchor. But as the storm rages, you must understand your exact position in the spiritual realm. You are not a victim of this chaos. You have been sovereignly positioned. The Apostle Paul wrote a profound mystery to the early church in Colossians chapter 3, verse 3. He declared, "For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God." Let the weight of that revelation settle over your mind today. Your life is hidden. When the systems of the world are searching for you to conform, you are hidden. When the enemy releases a spirit of heavy weariness, fear, and deep deception across the globe, you are hidden. The reason you feel so completely disconnected from the madness of the world right now is simply because your spirit has been relocated. God has placed you in the divine quarantine of His own presence. He is actively pulling you out of the line of fire. Think about how a master jeweler treats his most valuable possessions. He does not take his rarest, most precious diamonds and leave them out on the street for anyone to trample over. He does not put his greatest treasures on display in the window when a violent mob is approaching the city. No, the master takes his most prized jewels, wraps them carefully in soft cloth, and locks them away in a secure hidden vault. He hides them because he knows their immense value, and he knows the severe danger of the hour. My friend, you are the treasured possession of the Almighty. The reason He is removing you from the public eye, the reason He is allowing your social circle to shrink and your days to become so incredibly quiet, is because He is securing His treasure. He is locking you away in the secret place of the Most High before the full force of the storm breaks upon the earth. You are not missing out on anything the world has to offer. The parties, the gatherings, and the superficial relationships that have fallen away from your life were only going to leave you empty, exhausted, and vulnerable to the coming deception. The Lord is preserving your mind. He is protecting your nervous system. He is keeping your spiritual garments clean from the corruption of this age. Do not despise the quietness of your hidden vault. It is the greatest evidence of his fierce, protective love for you in these final hours. So, what must you do now in these quiet days of 2026? How do you endure this divine quarantine without losing your mind to the silence? You must activate the sanctuary protocol. You have to stop fighting the stillness. Stop trying to fill the empty, aching spaces in your calendar with meaningless distractions or forced conversations. When your phone does not ring, do not let panic set into your chest. Instead, recognize that silence as a holy invitation. Transform your quiet, empty room into a living temple. Let the profound silence become your greatest weapon against the relentless anxiety of this age. Sit still in the quiet. Open the ancient text. Let your exhausted nervous system finally rest from the constant draining demand to perform, to socialize, and to explain your spiritual journey to people who are no longer meant to walk beside you. Do not rush to pry open the relational doors that the Almighty has firmly and lovingly bolted shut. I want to speak a prophetic blessing over your life right now, right where you are sitting. May the heavy, suffocating burden of loneliness be completely lifted from your chest this very moment. May the God of all comfort wrap his overwhelming presence around your weary mind. I declare supernatural peace over your shattered nervous system. I speak deep, restorative, and uninterrupted rest over your sleep tonight. When you close your eyes in the dark, may you no longer feel the bitter sting of rejection or the fear of being left behind. May you only feel the warm, secure, and impenetrable embrace of your Creator, who has carefully hidden you away for such a crucial time as this. You are entirely safe, you are deeply loved, and you are perfectly positioned in the palm of his hands. Thank you for spending this sacred, quiet time with us today. If this message brought a sense of relief to your spirit, if it finally helped you understand the painful season of isolation you are walking through, please share this video with someone else who might be crying alone in their room today. They desperately need to know that they are not abandoned. And if you have not done so already, please subscribe to Hidden God Stories. We are building a sanctuary of believers who are seeking the deep, hidden truths of the kingdom as we navigate these final prophetic hours together. Until next time, stay safely hidden in Him, and may His perfect peace be with you always.
You've just uncovered a hidden mystery of God. Subscribe to Hidden God Stories to continue this miraculous journey of faith.